Hi, everybody. It's Lynn Louise Wonders, and today I have with me my friend and colleague Rose LaPierre. Welcome, Rose. I'm
Thank
so
you.
happy you're here. We're going to chat and a little bit about Rose's work with children, and she also is a supervisor and she's a trainer. She's a mentor, and she just has lots of wisdom. So, talk to us a little bit, Rose, about what you're finding is most helpful and most useful in this very strange circumstance that we find ourselves in, and trying to provide play therapy services, child therapy services over telehealth.
Yeah, so the biggest piece that keeps coming up that I'm either hearing directly from people, even parents and supervisees, is exhaustion
Yeah.
and right, feeling drained and very tired. And then also being sometimes in session with clients and feeling like looking at the time, how long do we have left? What am I doing? Feeling very distracted
Mm, okay.
has come up often with uh, people that I'm supervising. So I am dressed today in my playful self that I will be shifting out of costumes.
I love it.
one of the one of the biggest things that I am finding for myself, there's this really great chart, and I don't remember who posted it, or I feel like I got it maybe from your group and then posted it somewhere, but it has that, like, from COVID-19, there's been this fear phase that we're all going through, and then this learning phase, and
Mhm.
then sort of this growth phase. And
Yes.
what I'm finding for myself is that I'm not necessarily always at growth, but I fluctuate through the phases, kind of back and forth.
Mhm.
Whereas there's moments I feel like just nervous or what am I doing? And then there's times I feel like I'm in a rhythm with creating the YouTube videos that I'm doing and giving, just do implementing different things through telehealth because it's new for me also. I keep coming back to, though, the play and the creativity piece to help me connect back to myself. Because
Okay.
I think once this happened with COVID and the pandemic and having to come home and reevaluate my space and clients, is that I lost my creativity in that span. I was actually doing ceramics class and working with clay, and I was spending time this year of 2020 in my own creativity growth, and that came to a complete stop. It was like this abrupt, like, and then kind of figuring things out, feeling lost.
Mhm.
So the past, I'd say about 3 weeks, me coming back to what am I missing? And I'm missing that connection to myself, which is the creativity part. And I feel that that has also rejuvenated me with my clients because the playful piece, as we know, feeling anxious and feeling silly and happy are two opposing things that won't happen at the same time.
Mhm.
So if you can harness that part of yourself, whether it's coming in to a session dressed up or figuring out how to incorporate that at home,
Mhm.
um, something at home that we're doing is, just like we had a silly string fight with me and my kids. I'm also a mom. And so I had ordered like 25 cans of silly string, and we just were, I have not laughed so hard probably in like a month and a half. We had that. So yeah, that's a piece that I feel like I really just want to highlight is the play.
So, okay, so dressing up, showing up to session in a costume and a
Yeah.
funny hat and something like that would be one way. What are some other I've seen you making a lot of videos about puppets, which I love because I'm
Yeah.
all about puppets and play therapy. Um, what, creating puppets, finding puppets, showing up in session with a new puppet. What other things could people do that are just kind of stumped when they're like, but I don't know how to be creative? Because I think that the fact that we're on these screens kind of like it, it, it just changes the experience. So, you know what I mean? And I feel like it's not that big of a hump that we need to get over, but it's still a hump that some people are kind of stuck
Yes. And
on.
I think for me, what I realized after a few sessions of it, because I see a lot of kids in a week, a lot of families, is after probably the first day of it, I was focused too much on what I needed to bring in terms of things to
Okay.
the session. And
Mhm.
I realized what I really needed to bring in was just me.
Yeah.
And I needed to sit in being me, and also feeling through how I would in a regular session, because I'm much more non-directive and I feel into what is sort of brought in the session. And it's different through telehealth, but still possible. And that's what I found, is that if I come open with feeling playful and just sort of being in the moment, where I'm able to pull in something creative. So, like, I've had these finger puppets in my playroom probably for 15 years at my office. And I brought them when I packed up and came home. And I've had them next to me, and a child was upset at their sibling, and they were literally fighting in the, and the parents aren't there, and there's all this fighting going on. And I'm like, you can't, it's very hard to intervene in that. And you're looking for your phone to text them to come back into the room, the parents. So I grab these finger puppets and just start talking, making up a story about being mad and upset at each other. And it really like drew their attention
Yeah.
in. And that was just taking a breath and just kind of going with, okay, I could use some resources, and not getting pulled into like, oh my gosh, I need to fix this, or this is, I'm so helpless, there's nothing I can do about this, they're over there, I'm over here, right? I had like fleeting moments of that, but just kind of pausing and coming back to that playfulness, and how can I bring them in. So what else do I do is I have a lot of parent and child sessions too,
Mhm.
where I'm doing some theraplay. So whether I have the parents bring Play-Doh in, and we're like mashing and maybe making things, or just kind of
Yeah.
copying each other.
Mhm.
I teach a lot of the hand clapping games,
Mhm.
which is a fun thing to do with the parent there or not. Um, and then I have some, and then I do use some directed pieces where I might have a PowerPoint that a colleague had made and did a webinar on, where you can pull in some activities as prompts. But I feel like most of what I rely on is me connecting to the client, because all my clients I've had prior relationships with. So I
Right.
know them very well. They're not new to me, which is also different if you have new clients coming in. Um, and so I have a base as to what were the things they like to do before. And although it's not going to be the same, how can we create that space where you can still connect to the play? So,
Right.
for example, a client I had use a lot of water play. So I have a tub where you would have sand. I also had just water, and they would do a lot of that. So instead of, they didn't have a tub of water, but they actually asked if they could go into the bathtub. So with the parent, they went into the bathroom, and we were able to have this session of space where they were in the sink or the bathtub and the floor and creating their story. And I was in that space with them, where that would never have happened necessarily in such a big space.
And just to be clear for our viewers, they weren't getting in and taking a bath. They were
No,
playing, they
no,
were using the bathtub as in a container for water play. I just want to make sure
yeah,
that's clear.
yeah,
Yeah. So,
yeah, yeah. And the parent was there. The parent
right.
was part of the process.
Absolutely. Yeah. For safety and all of that.
Yeah, and
And
holding electronics with water.
yeah,
There's different issues that you have to think
yeah,
about.
absolutely. Yeah. Um, and so, there have been some critics who have said that what we're doing on telehealth isn't really therapy because we're just playing with the kids, we're entertaining the kids. I disagree with that. I have a feeling you do too. So I guess the question, to satisfy that potential critique is, what is the therapeutic purpose of what we're doing in getting playful and creative and trying to engage our clients? Because there was some criticism of that. It's like, well, I mean, I have my opinion, but I'm curious to know what your opinion is. What are we doing?
Well, I don't see how it's any different than what you'd be doing in a session where you're in the room physically. You're
Mhm.
physically in the room and in the space. I don't see how that's any different, holding space in the sense of working towards goals. I still have like, so one of the things I've done when I've met with all my clients is I've sort of reevaluated, reassessed what do they need. So I still have goals with what they need.
Exactly. Yes.
And I'm still meeting those goals with, if we take the Lego play that many kids I have also do, and I'm witnessing that and holding space for that, I'm still naming feelings. I'm still, doing child-centered work where I'm being present and having the mindfulness and helping them connect things. So it's not any, I don't necessarily notice the difference in the therapy because the
Hmm.
issues actually still arrive. The issues that they were presenting with in my office are still happening in the space of the telehealth. They just look different because there's different toys or different things that are happening, but the theme and the metaphors are very similar with
Right.
COVID and pandemic on top of that.
Exactly. Yes, we have that added ingredient. And then we have the
Right.
added ingredient of the fact that we are now doing therapy through in a very different way than we ever have before. So there's an adjustment to that as well. So we have some additional presenting issues, if you will, that are variables in the process. Um, but yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that that it's very possible to have a lot of the, but your reference is very possible to have a lot of the same elements and the same progress through telehealth as we do in person. But your mention of the goals, there is a treatment plan. We
Right.
may need to adjust the treatment plan slightly because we do have these new variables that are added in. So we may need some adjustment time to get used to this new, format. Make sure our connection, our rapport
Right.
is still established. And then maybe we get more into the goals that we started with in the first place. So, well, thank you for sharing all of that. I wondered, you kind of already addressed this, but I've
Yeah.
been asking everybody that I'm talking with here on my YouTube channel about the importance of self-care
Mm-hmm.
for therapists.
So this is one of them.
I know.
Mindfulness of self-care.
Yeah.
Um, and I will say at the beginning of every session that I have, I do light a candle before I
Oh,
start my day.
nice.
And let's see if I have it. Yeah. So this candle says seeking balance.
Hmm.
And it's just a beautiful way for me that I've learned to sort of just be present and just as a way to signify the beginning. And then at the end of my day, I blow it out as the end. Sometimes I'll do it in between clients as a way of just transition, or I have a this aromatherapy spray that's like a lavender that I'll spray as a
Mhm.
transition between clients because I feel like that also can help
Mhm.
to have some things in terms of my senses to begin and end with
Little rituals, ritualizing the
some rituals.
process so that
Thank you.
you're making sure that your own self is you're tuning into yourself at
Yes.
the beginning of the session and then after the session, which is a huge part of what I've been talking about is taking time between sessions to make sure you're checking in with self and asking, what do I most need right now? And nurturing self. So it sounds like that those are some ways you found to
And
work.
I do make it a priority to, in between the sessions, to really have a moment of just doing something that's just funny or fun. So I have two boys, my husband's, we're all home, and my boys are 10 and 15, and they can be wild and goofy. And so it can be great to just come down and they're in the middle of their schoolwork, and I'll just like pop my head in and maybe just give somebody a quick hug or just like, and they'll just to be embraced or just to make like a goofy face at each other. Um, those were the things I was losing in the beginning when this had started, that had to pause a lot and feel like, what am I missing? What's happening for me? And so when I've added these things back in, it has helped me to feel more grounded
Yeah,
and more connected to that creativity that I then can bring into the session.
I love it. I love that your recommendations for self-care weave so beautifully in with the work that you're doing with clients too. It's like it's not doesn't have to be this totally separate thing.
No.
It's connected.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking time to meet with me today. And thanks for making me laugh. I have to admit, when you came on camera when we first met, and you had the I was in the boa, I was like, oh, this is awesome. So that's got to be good for the clients too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Rose. I really appreciate you.
Okay. Thanks, Lynn.
And oh, by the way, I'll put links below for everybody who's watching to Rose's website. She does offer consultations. She's a supervisor, and she's got a YouTube channel of her own where she's got some really great videos with good ideas you can use with your clients.
Just want to add, I do EMDR also. So I'm in the process of being a consultant in training.
Oh, I
So
didn't know
EMDR and play
that.
therapy is also another piece.
Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. See you later.